This is Hashtag Finance, presented to you by the CSE, the Exchange for Entrepreneurs.
Thanks for watching, folks. Thanks for listening. This is, I don't even think exciting is the right word for this. This is the 100th episode of Hashtag Finance. It's the very unique episode, not only because we're all broadcasting from home today, but we're also broadcasting through Instagram Live, and we're on Zoom, and we're trying new stuff. So today I'm with Barrington Miller, my colleague at the Canadian Securities Exchange. It's Sunday morning. It's just after 9 o'clock. I'm in Newmarket. He's in Mississauga. Barrington, welcome to the show, the new show.
Thank you. This is my first Instagram Live show, not one that I've attended. I've been listening to a bunch every night. All DJs starting from scratch, and Questlove have been my go-to Instagram Live DJs and music because they are throwing down. Starting from scratch went 7 hours straight last night. But thanks for having me, and thanks to the people who are watching, listening, tuning in. So it's worth noting we typically broadcast from the 72nd floor, First Canadian Place, downtown Toronto. We're definitely not there anymore. We don't know when we're going to be back in the studio. So I think for people who follow us on the podcast or follow us socially, you're going to see more of these types of shows. You're going to see us in baseball hats and hoodies on Sundays, maybe. Just trying to get caught up on what's happening in the world. Our business is still going. We run a stock exchange, so we're an essential service, and we're not taking any days off, but our whole team is almost completely virtual now. So in this new reality that we're now faced with, which is time X, being at home, we're just trying to find new ways to connect to you, our audience, hear back from you, hear how you're doing. And then with the podcast, I can only assume this whole situation is really going to revolutionize or evolve how many people listen to audio content, podcasts. So I'm really proud that we got to episode 100. I'm happy that we're here now talking to you. And after, a year of about, year or so doing this show, there's a lot to talk about in addition to what's happening today, which is moving by the minute. But let's just take a step back. 2 weeks ago, Barrington, that's probably the last time, over 2 weeks ago now, I last physically saw you. And what basically went down was, we can even take another couple weeks before that, but we knew going into the PDAC this year, so the big mining conference, that we were stepping into a pretty unique situation. We had 20 to 25,000 people coming to the convention center in Toronto to attend this conference and participate. We do it every year. And we knew going into that conference that this was different. We were handing out hand sanitizers at the booth. We were not shaking hands. I mean, there was a lot going on. Did you ever think almost a month ago now that we would be here today, from Newmarket, Mississauga, hosting a live podcast because we can't go to the office? Well, I knew that we would be doing something because of our versatility as a stock exchange and being entrepreneurial. When it first went down, I knew it was going to be longer than a week, just because of the worldwide responses and the seriousness and the speed at which everything has changed. 3 weeks ago seems like 3 months ago, or 6 months. Time is moving really, really fast and also moving incredibly slow. This has changed. This has changed the way we are going to be doing things, the way the world will be doing things, and the way business will be conducted. So did I see it happening like this? No, but I knew something was going to happen. Life is fluid. Water, you have to be like water. To coin a Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee or Mr. Miyagi, I can't remember.
That's the big BL. So this is the way. This is how it's going to be done, and that could actually segue into some of the things that we're working on at the Canadian Securities Exchange as far as conferences and attending conferences, going to conferences, hosting conferences, and what's going to be new on the horizon as far as the way people interact with one another. So this is the longest I've talked to James outside of text messaging. In 2.5, 3 weeks, but this may become the new norm, and we're getting a lot of responses, both from our issuers, our valued service providers, as well as just friends. And when I say friends, I mean people in our space, in our spheres of influence. I'll get phone calls. I got a call from India. One of the members of Take Stock Alberta, Raj, gave me a call from New Delhi. He's on lockdown. And what's interesting now, whoever I talk to, because I'm still working Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 4, 5, 6, everyone's asking, how's it going on your side? How's everybody doing? What are the stores like? We have this combined communal thread. We're all on the same page. And there's never been a time in my generation or in my experience where think locally, act globally applies more than this. Everybody's a hero when you follow the instructions. Wash your hands, social distance, stay inside. Don't go out. In Ontario, they just passed, I think it was yesterday or the day before, you can't congregate in groups of 5 or more. That's a big deal. I can't see my family. I can't go and see my sister or anybody like that because they have it's just more than my sister. So these are big, challenging times, but we're all in it together. So
yeah, we're definitely in it together, and we're here together now. And so being at that show almost a month ago now, being aware of what could have come and now seeing it, come, it's startling, not to put too fine a line on it. But you evolve, and we've seen a lot of people evolve pretty quickly. And the biggest evolution obviously was everyone's ability to band together and take that advice that you said, socially distance, flatten the curve. I mean, for the rest of my life, I'm sure those terms will be burned in my head, but
right.
Part of that is now being able to work virtually. So, me being us doing this content, that's just one part of it. I mean, we have a team. We have a team of, there's 8 or 9 of us that work across the country, and we work in a lot of sense virtually already, but we've never, used these tools like Zoom. We've never had to do these meetings. Maybe just walk me through, Barrington. So 2 weeks ago, I came out of a meeting, went to our little cluster in our office, and basically said, guys, we got to go. Like, I think it was the same day where
I think it was it Wednesday?
Was that night where they had that terrible, like, the NBA got canceled, and then
sports died.
Tom Hanks had COVID, his wife had COVID, you know what I mean? Like, it was everything just seemed to be happening. It was a terrible news cycle. Then the market like cratered the next day.
Absolutely.
So there's been a lot that's happened in those 2.5 weeks, but basically everyone was kind of going along with, well, those guys were at PDAC. They might have been exposed because that morning it was disclosed that someone from Sudbury.
There was one person between 25 and 28,000 people who, first of all, started out as a rumor, like somebody may have.
Yeah.
And, you were at PDAC? Bam. It's what I found interesting, and I spoke to a few others who were at PDAC in their respective organizations because they were going through, every organization was going through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you heard this, people actually started social distancing themselves immediately, and it wasn't done in the cool way of, hey, let's respect each other's space. It was done with, hey, you may have been there, I'm not going near you. It's like, well, there was 28,000 people. We don't know the news. it was kind of messed up. It was kind of messed up on how people, and I'm not saying at the Canadian Securities Exchange, but at other places, how they reacted to it. It was, and again, maybe that's fight or flight. Maybe that's just a self-preservation.
Yeah, there's two camps, right? There was like, you might have been exposed and I'm good.
Yeah.
And now everyone is sort of like, no. We're in this together. We're not trying to, point fingers at anyone. No one's got to, stink on them. It's
right.
Part of this whole thing is selflessness. It's like, there's a good chance if you've been self-isolated for the last 2 weeks, you're not carrying, you're good. But that doesn't give you license to go into society and potentially, reintegrate and be part of the problem. Like, the virus only moves if people move. And that's an important thing to keep a hold of. So yeah, I think everyone's sort of demystified it, and rather quickly we've destigmatized what it is to have it, what it is. We're still learning. I mean, based on the stuff I'm listening and reading to, the virus will teach you things over time. You don't just get, that impression initially of it not hurting or affecting younger people. They're starting to throw that out the window a little bit. No?
I'm just jumping in right here. We got a question just jumped up on Instagram. Do you think PDAC should have been canceled? And sorry for our viewers, I'm wearing glasses, so I can't see some of the questions. So if I miss them, I apologize. I'm not ignoring you. If I do this, then I'm looking right at the camera. But so if you have questions, please, by all means. Do you think PDAC should have been canceled? Great question. No, I don't. I don't think it should have been canceled. Simply because we didn't know, and this is just my opinion, and the opinions I expressed are not those of the stock exchange. I don't think we knew enough, and we know way more today. I know more about COVID today than I did yesterday, than I did the day before. And 2.5 weeks ago, I was essentially an embryo with virus knowledge. So going back to March 1st, today's March 29th, knowing what we knew then, I don't think we would have, or should have been canceled. Perhaps if there was more news dissemination, more hand sanitizers, which we did, more social distancing, then yeah, there could have been ways around it. But as far as canceling the whole show at the time with what we knew, no, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with today's knowledge, it would not even be thought of to do it. But yeah, there you go. Things move quickly. So let's just move transition a little bit here. So the way you've adapted personally, Barrington. So, I'm curious, and I want to share with our audience and people listening and watching. What are some of the ways that we're establishing new norms in our workplace and in our homes? Because they're now the same thing until further notice, right? We don't, unless you're lucky enough to have your own little office set up in a separate building on your compound. Basically, you're probably in a living room, kitchen, office.
Yeah, the home office is the home and the office. So what I find when there's a big shift, this is a traumatic experience as far as your human day-to-day interaction, you need to set up routines. You need to establish routines, especially if, and we're very, very fortunate enough to still be working. And just a little shout out to everyone who is on the front lines, who is there working in the medical profession. Thank you to everyone who's still helping our economy move forward, helping people. Just, you need to keep that routine. So for me, the only routine I haven't done is showering and shaving. But I get up every morning, still around between 7 and 7:15, do 10 minutes of yoga, stretching, and then start checking emails, start writing back. that's my soft start. My hard start's 9 a.m. and it's 9 to 12. My kids roll in anywhere between 9:30 and 1. Have a little 15 minutes time with them, make lunch, and then work in the afternoon. And people are calling. There are people calling. What I find now, because there's no line between home and office, when you're talking with people out from work or work related, the conversations are long. It's not like, hey, I got to run to the next meeting or I got a flight to catch or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting on the phone for an hour and you're talking about work, maybe 15 minutes, 10 minutes, but the rest is just being human and reaching out and letting people know that we're all in it together. So my day ends between 5 and 6. I'll still get calls after 6, but after that it's dinner, Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune. I think we've just finished our 3rd or 4th puzzle, and I'm trying to keep my kids mentally stimulated. I have teenagers, so we've been playing a lot of games: cribbage, backgammon, chess, checkers, Monopoly.
We got Yahtzee going on.
Oh yeah, Yahtzee went. And I think this week I'm saving the Settlers of Catan, so we'll get into that, which is an all-time Miller classic. So again, setting up routines, being physically active, and by that I mean I'm not doing a lot, but I'm doing something. Stretch if you can. Walk around the neighborhood in groups of 5 or less. I bought a balance board, so if I'm doing work, I'm just trying to engage the core. I'm on an exercise ball right now. I don't think I'll use a chair if and when we ever go back to the office. And yeah, eating. Everyone's becoming a chef. Everyone I talk to have said they're making fantastic meals, and it's healthier. I actually think we're the more we stay isolated, the healthier we're getting, because we're doing all the things that we normally don't do or don't have time to do. We're not going out and eating at restaurants. We're not, sitting around and drinking a bunch and eating greasy foods and all of that. So, but keeping a sense of normalcy, keeping a sense of routine. I need the schools to do something. Online schooling, anything, because the kids are now wondering, will there be a school year? Do you go back to school? Is there summer school? What's happening? So that's where that type of normalcy needs to come back in some way, shape, or form, and hopefully it will. I know that's what they're working on it. And as far as the new social gathering, we're going to try house party. We'll try that app. I know things like Zoom have been going, but this could be the way. Let me put it this way, and I have my little Buddha representing. Work is not a place. Work is not a place. It's wherever you are doing what it is you do. So that's my rant. That's my ramble. What about you? You have 2 little ones.
I do.
How are you doing with them? And how, more importantly, how are they doing?
Yeah, I've got a 21-month-old and a 5-year-old boy. They're both boys. And for the 21-month-old, this is like paradise. His parents are around all the time. He's, him and his brother, he's got all the time in the world with his brother. So he's fine. 5-year-old's actually pretty good too. He's a little bored. He doesn't necessarily miss his friends so much, but he's trying to find, it's just hard to fill a full day every day for these guys. That is, as you say, mentally stimulating, physically stimulating, helps them grow as individuals. I mean, they get a lot out of school because of the social aspect. So not being able to just, to have recess with other kids, that's probably the biggest issue. I mean, in junior or senior kindergarten, they're not learning a heck of a lot that you can't already teach them just by, having gone through school yourself. So they're okay. My wife's a trained educator. I'm lucky in that respect. She knows what she's doing. Me on the other end, I'm like you. I'm cooking more meals than I've ever wanted to. But the one side effect to this, which I'm surprised by, so this is one of my surprising insights, is that this is probably the healthiest I've felt in a long time. So after PDAC,
dude, I am sleeping between. There was one night I got just under 8 hours. Yeah. 8 hours continuous sleep. I've been sleeping well. Knock on wood. So there is something to it, to just slowing down, just slowing down.
I'm a morning commuter. I'm usually on the 5:40 a.m. train, and I sometimes don't get to bed till midnight. So the not trying to catch a 45-minute nap on the train at 5:45 in the morning, that's already having an impact. But the meals, you mentioned the meals, there's no food court downstairs. When I go downstairs, there's a fridge and a pantry, and I need to make something that my kids are going to eat. And yes, I've probably reintegrated breakfast cereals a little more than I should have, but it's more or less we're trying to find ways to cook fresh food or fresh prepare food, which in aggregate is going to force you to eat more healthy than just putting stuff in the oven or ordering off an app or going to a food court. So totally feel that. Beverage consumption, not going to say I've done anything better there other than, what I've learned about myself in beverage consumption and business is that, again, PDAC, there was parties, you would go, you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, you'd have a few drinks because you're talking to people and you're having a good time and you're doing it.
You're being social.
That doesn't happen at home.
No.
You have a beer because you like to have a beer, but I find for the most part, that's moderated a lot of that, or, it just made it a little more of a healthier habit. And then not that I had a problem or anything, but just I kind of am observing how I'm treating it. And, interacting with people. I mean, we'll talk about how we interact as a team now. So, we're trying to do more content, but one thing I've never done as a manager, which is now something I feel like is almost a non-negotiable, is that daily touch point. So basically waking up, as you say, in the morning, having the soft start, but then by 9 o'clock having something that's out to the team that basically says, here's what we're focusing on. Because I'm not expecting we're going to have those days where we can sit down in a room for an hour or two and just crack something out. We gotta do everything in baby steps. We got to do everything iteratively. We got to think it through a bit more because time is precious. You can't, just kind of waste time in a boardroom figuring stuff out, which has its own advantages, but maybe it's teaching us to use time a little more effectively.
No, it's I agree. I agree 100%. We've gotten together on conference calls, and you can feel that energy. You don't have to be in the same room to feel that energy, especially with our team. And I agree with you. The time is being managed a lot more efficiently. There's, at home there are distractions like the TV. I watched the Bourne Identity series yesterday. If Marvel comes on, you know what I mean? It's those things. But there's going to be a blend. There's going to be a hybrid between the way it was, the way it is, and the way that it will be. And another thing that I've discovered as far as how we are going to be interacting, a number of our issuers, me and my colleague Anil Mall, I don't think he's awake because he's in Vancouver and it's 3 hours behind, and it would be crazy to be up at 6:38 on a Sunday.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. And Rob Cook, we've been reaching out to our issuers, just seeing what's up, how they're doing. And so many of them want to do this. They want to do something on video. They want to interact. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that, like tons, in the next 3 to 6. That's my time frame. Everything's 3 to 6 months. 3 to 6 months. So
that was your prediction, 3 to 6 months?
Oh, yeah. This is, I think, excuse me, I think April's a write-off.
Mm-hmm.
I think conferences and things for the beginning of June are nixed. Summer's a slowdown anyways. So that puts you into the fall.
Yeah, that's basically where a lot of people are pegging. The smart money would be on the school year being canceled and just everything kind of hoping for a September restart. So,
yeah, that sucks for the high school seniors, grade 12s. Sucks for my daughter, grade 8, grade 8 prom, which as a dad I'm okay with. But yeah, I don't know if it's going to be, you know what, I saw a lot of virtual things. I saw a wedding that was conducted in the church parking lot and the cars drove by or parked. Wow. I saw this little kid, it was cool. He was going to have his first, I think he was turning 5. And he was really, really excited to have his birthday, and this happened. So all the cars on the street did a parade, and they were holding signs out the window and honking horns and had balloons. This thing, COVID, coronavirus, has shown the human compassion and just what we're all about. It's, you make do. If you have, life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And there's no way that neighborhood would have thought to do a car parade, 3.5 weeks ago. I still have faith in the human resiliency program. I still think we are all good at our core and will continue to do so.
Yeah, no, it's been heartening to see some of the things like Drew Berge's giving $5 million to relief efforts in Louisiana, and you go down the list. People are going to be giving a lot more than they're taking in the next little while. So, shifting focus a little bit. So, running the stock exchange, our CEO, our boss, Richard Carlton, he's been very active, both on social channels that we've been putting him in front of. He's been pushing the media the last week on one particular initiative. So helping public companies access resources, specifically through the new economic stimulus plan for wage subsidies. So initially, there was a bit of a soft serve from JT in Parliament on how they were going to help subsidize wage and whatnot for CCPCs, Canadian Public Corporations. And then, we picked up on it pretty quick that public companies were not going to be benefiting from this type of relief. So we issued a statement and a letter to the ministers in charge of this around that topic, saying, don't forget public companies. It's a huge constituency in Canada. There's many companies across the country that have raised money through public capital, and they shouldn't be excluded because they aren't of this certain definition. So trying to fight that bias a little bit in policymaking to help these companies that we have listed on our market access some of the same benefits that the government's going to offer has been critical. So again, you don't want to politicize a crisis, but you also need to look out for your constituents in these issues, because it's very important that, at CSC with 530 plus listed companies, you can't just leave them behind. They hire people, they create economy, they contribute across to the GDP. Don't leave them behind. So I don't know, Bear, were there any thoughts around what we've been doing there or what we've been trying to say?
Yeah, I mean, hats off to hats off to Richard and you and the rest of senior management for as soon as that came out. I don't even think they hit send, and Richard was all over it. It didn't make sense. It seemed arbitrary of just picking one group that gets and the other group that doesn't, with no real basis or rationale for it. That he started blowing the trumpet really, really, really hard. And what was good to see is other stock exchanges in Canada following suit. After Richard gave his proclamation all over social media, in the written word as well as orally, other exchanges, some of them almost verbatim, said the same thing. These people have jobs, they have families, they are being impacted the same way as private companies. And we are the exchange for entrepreneurs. A lot of our companies are small cap companies. They are the ones that are entrepreneurial, high risk, high reward. They need it. And I think it was great that Richard took up the mantle and started touting it. And I think it's good on us, not to blow our own horn, but it's good on us to recognize that and to want to help our issuers.
Yeah, and all those materials are available on our website under our news tab, so you can go through and read all the statements we've made. We're recording this on a Sunday. The Minister of Finance is going to be providing an update to the stimulus package for businesses tomorrow on Monday. It may now include public companies. We'll see. Right now, they moved that definition, to small, medium enterprises as being the benefactors. So we'll get more details tomorrow, and by the time you hear this, we'll know more. But yeah, just to be aware of it. If you haven't talked to your local MP, if it's still an outstanding issue as you listen to this, just know that I think part of the reason why oversights were introduced at the start of this process was because of rolling stuff out in an expeditious manner, getting it out quickly, so that as soon as possible, businesses don't have to shut their doors or suffer too much. So there's always a balance here.
This also leads into the extension for filing requirements for I think it's 45 days. It's a 45-day extension that was granted. Again, that's available on our website, and we've pushed out information, and we're still in the process of pushing that out to our listed companies. Speaking of which, virtual AGMs, they will be accepted to do your AGM in virtual form, which if you've ever been to an AGM, you are now going to get much higher attendance and participation. So again, these are the lemonades that are coming out of the lemons, but we're still here. We still support, and we still want to help the entrepreneur grow.
Yeah, it's forcing people to use new tools that they probably should have been using, before. So like us at CSE, internally we use Slack. That's something that we're huge fans of. Email is just such a burden, especially when you're getting messages throughout the day. Slack lets you connect to your team more directly. We're doing Zoom meeting tomorrow with another department, so our trading services team and listings development team, which I manage, and Barrington's a big part of. We're having a team Zoom tomorrow. Sorry you're not invited, but to the audience listening. But
it's like, whoa.
Yeah, no, you're not invited there. But just finding new ways to connect and collaborate. And I don't know, are there any other tools that you've picked up on, Bear, that either you're now being forced to use that you wouldn't use before, or you're just kind of sniffing?
Yeah, I mean, it's not well, as far as work is concerned. We've been definitely using Zoom. We'll explore the house party. Still traditional email. Slack has been great. Creating WhatsApp groups. There is a collaboration right now that we're in talks with a very reputable accounting company in Toronto, in a very reputable law firm in Toronto. And I'm like, guys, can we just do a WhatsApp channel? Like, can we just do that? And I'm sure that's going to happen next week, and then we'll start Zooming. As far as the social part, we've started playing around with Jackbox TV just to do games and connecting with people, just to play games. So Jackbox TV, you can do it. You know what? I have no idea how to do it, but you can hook it up through your phone. And then there's a games master, stuff like that. And these are things that we wouldn't have done or thought about exploring. Yeah, but I think right now, for now, the traditional means of having a webcam and having a platform that can support. Another thing that's emerged out of this is conference calls and conference lines and conference bridges. We've been asked, and I'm sure other people have, we've been asked to not do or schedule calls on the hour and the half hours. So let's try 11:15 and 11:45, or 10 after 11 and 11:25, just because of the overload, massive amounts that they're getting on the hour. So it's now, again, this is a shift, but you want to still be able to connect? All right. My calls are occurring on the 15s. For those of you who have and listen to 680 News, on the ones. So that's also another favorite time. But again, just think locally, act globally.
Yeah, good point. I want to talk about virtual meetings for a second. So
yeah, let's do that.
Some of the new norms. So I haven't touched my business attire other than I filmed a podcast on Friday with Cam Chell.
Yeah.
And, you know, I actually combed my hair for that one. But what is it? How does one now enter a business meeting, and what attire? You know, pants totally optional, obviously, but what is what's the new norm going to be? We still got to wear collared shirts, grooming. Like, what do we?
So I think you treat this period the way you treat the first 6 weeks with a newborn. And what I was told,
tracksuits.
what I was told is you can't be wrong. Everything that you do, or everything you feel like doing, you can't be wrong. As we develop a maturation during this, I still, and this is just my own personal, I still think, you know, collared shirt, pants, again, that's your call. I do believe you should be wearing pants or shorts or something. But again, on a Sunday morning, am I shaving? Am I not wearing a baseball hat? No. If we were to try to get some business, I'm still going to dress up a little bit. I will shave. I won't wear a baseball hat because, you know, you have one chance to make a first impression, and I don't want, and I'm not just representing myself. I'm representing the team members I work with. I'm representing an organization, and that's something like this. This is something we're just trying. We're seeing if it works. It's Sunday. It's dreary as heck. But when it comes to actual business and doing meetings, I still think you should, you know, dress like a human mullet.
The human
business
mullet.
up top, party on the bottom, or something like that. Maybe we'll edit that part.
We're gonna work on that definition. We're gonna work on that definition. We just got a note here. A new trend at Walmart US emerged last week. Shirt sales are up. Any kind of pants sales are flat. So, you know, it's almost summer or spring, but yeah, I could see that being that makes sense. That makes sense. Believe it or not, in all this economic chaos, there are going to be some businesses that do really well as a result of this. So,
yeah. So
if you're a shirt manufacturer, just keep making those shirts. They'll get sold at Walmart.
that's actually a great lead-in. So as you know, we've had a little bit of business involved in the cannabis space. I think we're around 200 companies or 200 tradable securities. I listened to a webinar conference call with ArcView last week. And one of the trends, because we're talked about new business and things going forward, one of the trends of that is the boom in social distancing, non-touching businesses. So especially for cannabis, curbside pickups, curbside drop-offs, delivery, all of those businesses are booming. But cannabis companies are also looking to acquire businesses that offer those, because it's becoming one of those, and I don't want to say it, recession-proof. I hate that term because I don't think anything really can be or should be. But, alcohol, cigarettes, those were all deemed as recession-proof. It now has the appearance that cannabis, in the very, very early stages, is coming along those lines. If you talk to retailers and multi-state operators, they're saying they can't keep up with the demand. So there's tons of money that they can be making, but there's no money that's available to them for their growth and expansion. There's people. I was talking to one. They're based out of Calgary. Their initials are HT. I don't know. Should I be plugging companies here? I feel like I'm plugging.
If they're selling something that people can purchase, I don't see why not.
Yeah. Well, I was talking with High Tide, and they have the ability, especially out of their Hamilton office, to make extraordinary amounts of money. But people, it's one of those things. People are a little nervous to come to work. It's a risk, it's a gamble. But then when you talk to investors are sitting on the sidelines with tons of money, and they're waiting. The two words for 2020, and I was saying it in January, and I'm still saying it: distressed assets. So you have money that's available, but they're not putting it in because they want it to. They still have that capitalist mindset, as we should, because that's our economy. It could go lower. I could get it cheaper. But these revenues are going through the roof. Take a look at the CSE index, CSE composite index, and the CSE 25, and look how it's performed last week. The bulk of those, the 25 companies, are in the cannabis sector, and they had a rip-roaring week. So any kind of business that can support, and I do think this is going to carry on, even when the day will come, coronavirus is wiped out or eradicated, or we have a vaccine and get immunized and all of that. I know for me, I'm still going to practice a little bit of social distancing.
Oh yeah.
And this is not, I'm a hugger, always have been. Am I going to do it? Nah, man. I'm picking and choosing my spots. There'll be a lot of fist bumps, a lot of elbows, a lot of double guns. Double guns are making a comeback, by the way. Look at it. I just did it. They're making a comeback, by the way.
The little queen wave.
The queen wave.
Yeah.
The queen wave.
Yeah.
I keep my thumb tucked and just rotate.
Yeah.
But those types of businesses that support the new reality, and the new reality is, keep your own stuff together. That's what it is. So I'm just seeing if there's any questions. Pistol wink.
Nah. Funny. Okay, so we're almost at the top of the hour here. I just wanted to thank you, Barrington, for trying this out. Here's the one thing what we're trying to do at CSE. So we know that we can't go into our studio in Toronto. We can't go into our studio in Vancouver. We can't film our market opens with our new listed clients. We can't go to, we can't record anything on the street. but we're here. And what we're hoping we can do with our clients is start rolling out daily content through Instagram, through Zoom. And so what we're going to do is tomorrow I'm taping a show with one of our clients, iSoft. They're going to be one of our featured interviews on #finance. But then we've got shows. We're going to try to roll them out every day around 2 o'clock Eastern time. We've got one on Tuesday with Jason Palchowitz, who's going to be coming to us from New York. So that's going to be really interesting. We've got Tracy Costa coming to us from Vancouver on Wednesday. We're going to have a new feature that we're working on called West Coast Wednesdays. So Anil and Anna, who we've talked about on the show, they run our West Coast office. They're going to be hosting content from the West Coast, the left coast. And then I think Thursday, Friday, we're working on some other content. So every single day now, we're going to try to get something out to you. We know the issuers have great stories to tell. We have companies like the Dragonfly, which I interviewed on Friday. They're doing real stuff that's actually going to help us solve some of these problems. And there's other companies like cannabis companies that are actually helping us cope with the problem. So it's an amazing time. It's terrifying in some respects. It's hard to navigate some days, but as you alluded to many times, Barrington, we're in this together, and we're all trying to work on solutions to keep each other both, afloat, whether it's economic, mentally, because we can't be together physically. We're all going to find a way, and we're lucky to have this technology that bridges that gap. So with that, I'm going to formally sign off on the podcast and just thank you again for listening. If you're listening on iTunes, if you're listening, whether Apple Podcasts, Google, Stitcher, Spotify, just make sure you're subscribed because it's going to keep coming. It took us about a week and a half to kind of recalibrate, but the content's coming. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe down below. We are always launching. We still have content from 3, 4, 5 weeks ago that we're putting up on YouTube, but it's all good stuff. And then coming up, just be a follower on Instagram. Watch us 2 p.m. Eastern time every day. Maybe we'll do more weekend shows. If you like watching us on Sunday morning, we can come here and we can shoot the breeze. It's all good.
This is awesome. Sorry, before we tune out, I wanted to ask you, James. This is episode 100. What would you tell James Black, episode 1, if you could go back in time? Invest in hand sanitizers. No, but as far as podcasts are concerned, as far as what we do and the stories that we're helping bring out, what would you tell James Black, episode 1, after having basically watched 100 episodes of #finance?
It's a big question. We're learning
Absolutely.
so much. Yeah, and we got people thanking us. So thank you for watching.
Thank you.
I would have jumped on the Instagram stuff a lot sooner. And that's not a podcast necessarily, but I think we've grown our audience quite a bit on social, and I would have done a little more to leverage that. So here we are now. Like I said, we're being forced to do new things. I'm pointing at 2 cameras in my face in my office. So that's the number one thing. Number 2, it's more technical. Just microphones and lighting, teaching everyone how to use that virtually. I mean, here's the biggest problem I have now is I'm using 2 Apple headsets. The reality is that we're trying to still do things with high levels of audio quality. I'm listening to like Tim Ferriss, Bill Simmons. I'm hearing audio issues across some of the biggest podcasts out there. So we're not alone. And one of the issues is that people can't get equipment. So you go to Amazon, you want to order a nice Logitech video camera, you want to get a good microphone, you're going to wait a month. You're going to wait at least a month to get that stuff based on what I'm getting. I'm a Prime member. And so I would have just given people more capabilities on the home front to do these shows and just get more content out there. We have too many clients to restrict it to 2 shows a week. We have a huge audience and following base that's growing every day. Thank you for watching. So yeah, I would have done a little more socially, and I would have worked with the team a bit more to get them the tools they need at home. But here we are now, and we're going to be forced to figure it out.
Well, I agree. Thank you for there's some some comments that came in. No, we cannot give insider information. You'd actually be surprised at how little I know of what's going on the inside.
Make it our business not to know.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I if I could, I wouldn't, but no, I don't know a lot. I don't know a lot, and thank you to the audience for tuning in. This was not socially promoted. This was a first stab at something like this. I felt comfortable. I think it worked. Yeah, my bottom half is track pants and Crocs, and socks. So this is, like I said, invested in that exercise ball. I'm telling you, man.
Actually, I got one. I'm going to bring it upstairs. Actually, I don't want to leave the people hanging. Just this doesn't have to be part of the official thing, but what would you have done, or what have you learned over 100 episodes?
I would have listened to other podcasts more before I started. I'm very, very critical of my own podcasts, and I actually can't stand the way that I am in the early podcasts versus how I am, say, a few weeks ago. The reason for that is I've listened to, I'll take one like Joe Rogan or Bill Simmons. You listen to those guys, and they're not just guys, but girls as well, and the way that they approach it, the questions they ask, and how they engage. When I started doing it, I was really, really nervous, and I would do homework and then ask a bunch of questions based on the homework that I did. The ones that I found that were really, really good or worked for me was doing a little bit of homework, not knowing. I don't want to know everything. That's, for me, that's part of being the host. As the host, I'm also the audience. I'm asking and learning as I go, and my reactions are genuine. When I said, "Holy crap, I didn't know that," or "That's amazing," or "That's a terrible idea, don't ever do that," or say it. I find that being more, less planning, less rigid, being flexible, and vibing with your guest more goes a lot further, and I think the audience relates to that a lot better. So even for this podcast that we did, we just talked about it briefly, like, hey, this was on Friday, James, like, or Thursday. It's like, I want to do something special for 100. Let's do it. I said, okay. I want to do it before Monday. Like, well, that leaves Sunday morning. Let's do it. And I gave James a call at 8:15, and it's like, okay, what do you want to do? It's like, okay, can we talk about this? Yes. Can we talk about that? Yeah. And that was it. There's no script. I have a comb. I have Buddha. I have some hair balm. And I have some Baoding balls that I'm using for acupuncture-like qualities. And that's it. There's nothing.
I've had stickies the whole time.
There's nothing here. But again, we're having a discussion. We're having that real human, that human connection. And, as always, there's coffee.
As always.
So
always got to have coffee. I've drank more coffee on a per day basis.
I've started making lattes. I started making lattes, and I think I could go up against some of the big name franchises. Although it takes me really, really long. So
lattes are a pain to make. They really are. They really are. Folks, if you don't know, this is the podcast, by the way. This is the podcast. I tried to find. Sorry, you can't hear me. That's the podcast right there. That's hashtag finance. Yeah.
Is that it? Is that my post? Think so? Yeah.
This one where we made Barrington. Oh yeah, there you go. You look like yourself. Yeah.
And then there's Phil. Phil the Thrill. What up, Philly?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a collector's item right here. So you can get this in the latest issue of Public Entrepreneur magazine, which I'm going to show you real quick. Sorry, this is the after hours segment now. We're just riffing. Right here. So we publish a magazine. It's called Public Entrepreneur. You can check that out. It's on our blog. So blog.thecse.com. It's, I'm not going to send you a physical copy, but it's great. The last issue was about mining. Yeah, we're going to keep doing that. I think, like I said, there's going to be no shortage of interesting companies and developments to talk about on these platforms. I'm looking forward to doing more. I'm looking forward to more discussions with you, Barrington. I'm looking forward to more interaction with our audience out there on all these new channels. So with that, I'm good. I'm done. I got to go make some breakfast. I'm going to make another pot of coffee.
Somebody just said, is there video game music playing? Can you hear music?
No, that's pretty cool.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I hope it's video games. Yeah, I think we're gonna cut that one out. Yeah, I'm gonna make another espresso. Why not? This has been fun. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining.
That's all I can hear. I can't hear the talk.
Thanks, James.
There you have it, folks. That's the 100th episode of Hashtag Finance coming to you via Zoom. And Barrington, thank you again for joining me for this special episode. We had to record on a Sunday morning because no other time would work. So if you're watching on YouTube, on CSE TV, please subscribe down below. We got a ton of content coming. We have some stuff from a few weeks ago that we're still putting out, but you can believe that we're going to be churning it out as time goes on here during the age of the coronavirus. If you're listening, just again, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple, wherever you get podcasts, we're going to be bringing you a lot of new ideas, new concepts, a lot of client interviews, a lot of touching base with people during this important time. It's important to connect with each other. So thanks again for watching. Thanks again for listening. And we're signing off.